And I'm going to show you different types of interactivity that you can include on your portfolio. So first of all, how do you set this up? You want to set it up in InDesign. So don't go and do this in Illustrator or Photoshop or another program. This is an InDesign class. So I want your portfolio to be done in InDesign. So make sure that you're doing the layout in InDesign. You can go to File, New Document, and we're going to transition to web this time. So it's a digital portfolio. We don't need to print it out. So you don't have to select print. You can select web, and you can select a screen size preset. Like if you want this to be viewed on a large screen, you can select a desktop screen size if you want. Or you can just type in a number. For this particular one, I just set it up at 12 by 12 inches for a square format. So this is up to you, the size you feel will best present your work. So just for this sample, I'm going to select a desktop screen size. Um, and I don't want facing pages. I just want individual pages. I'm going to select a primary text frame. I'm just going to go ahead and create this. And then review the assignment sheet and those slides to see what needs to be on your portfolio. So once you've set up your page, I've already done that here, so I'm going to transition to this one just to save time. So I created a text frame with my name. Um, you can include the class name here. So I'm going to put the name of the class, Digital Media Composition 1. And then you want to include, oh, I'm on the wrong page. So here we go. Then the class section, the semester. So I'm going to change this to spring 2021. Okay, so make sure you include all that criteria. This is going to be your cover page, your title page. And then you can think of it as a website. You're creating a navigation menu or index to the rest of your portfolio. So you need at least 5 samples of work from this class. So I'm going to include the things that I worked on this class. So we put the letterhead, newsletter, brochure. You didn't do a wine label in here, so you did a booklet. So you may want to include some kind of navigation menu, and then you can hyperlink this to other pages in your booklet. So you need at least 2 types of interactivity on your portfolio. One type of interactivity would be hyperlinking to a page. So you might want to write this down and jot down these notes or watch this recording later. But you can find the pages in your textbook, and I'm not using the textbook this time. You don't have to turn in any textbook tutorial, but you can still use the textbook as a resource. So if you go to the chapter in the textbook that's called Digital Layout Variations, Project 6, you can go to stage 2, creating interactive PDF elements, and start on page 391. Okay, so 391 starts with interactive bookmarks. Then on page 394, it shows you how to create a hyperlink. So if you prefer to use the textbook, go back to those pages and follow along step by step. So I'm just going to show you here. What I did was I just created other pages by copying the first page. So once I've designed the layout for my first page, I can go to my pages panel. I'm in typography workspace and just go to control right click, duplicate spread, right? Then I can duplicate that page and I can move it to wherever I want. So I've already kind of set this up here. Then I want to place my letterhead on here. So to do that, you can just create a graphic frame. And then you got to go back and look for your high quality PDF files. So I'm going to go to File Place, and then I got to go back and look for those files. So I've got that in this folder, in my links folder. So here's my high quality PDF file for my letterhead. So I'm going to select that and open it. And you can select, if you go to click on Show Import Options, you can select if you want to crop it according to your crop marks, or if you want to trim it, or if you want to include the bleed. So you've got some different options here. So then once I place that in, I don't want, this is not cropped correctly, so I'm going to have to re-crop this using my crop marks from the PDF. I don't want those crop marks to show. So I want to crop it where it's supposed to be cropped after it's printed and trimmed. So I'm going to use those crop marks as guidelines to crop it down to the size it should be at. And make sure that you're using the press quality or the highest quality print. And when you go to your links panel, it should be linked. So then after you do your layout, package your files so that includes all the links. You don't have anything missing, because if they're missing, it's not going to show up clearly when I view it. It'll be pixelated. Okay, so now I can place this onto the page. I can resize it. If I hold down the Shift Command key, I can make this smaller and put it on the page. And I gave it a black background because I want the white to show up over the black background. When I don't have a black background, what happens? Well, if it didn't have a border on it, I can't see where the edges of that letterhead are. And it just runs and bleeds into the white background. So I don't know what this is. I don't know that it's a letterhead. So make sure that you differentiate. You want to present your work well. So here I can add a black border to it. I could add a drop shadow to it and make that stand out. I'm going to tone this back to 35%. Or in the case here, I just made the background black so that the white really stands out against it. So that's up to you. You get to make the design decisions, but you want to show your work in the best possible way. I have a heading here, so I know this is the letterhead, a text description, and then I'm going to show you how to do the hyperlinks. So I'm going to go back. And at this point, you can go to interactive for PDF workspace. And I'm going to go back to my index page. And I want to hyperlink this letterhead page to page number 2, or this letterhead object. So you can hyperlink text, you can hyperlink a graphic frame, whatever you want. So if I go to hyperlinks, I can create a new hyperlink. So this one is already created, so I'm going to check it. I selected link to page. It's in this same document. I'm going to link it to page 2. I don't want a style to it. I just want an invisible rectangle. You can add a character style if you want to. And then if I click OK, you'll see that dotted line around it means that it is now hyperlinked. And then if I go to page 2, there's a dotted link around this image because I have hyperlinked this back to page 1. So if I click on this, I have linked this. Oh, actually, this is linked to page 3, because what I've done here is on page 3, I've placed it on page 3 in a larger size so that if I click on this graphic, it will take me to page 3 where I can view the larger size of the letterhead. Then if I click on this text frame, it is linked back to page 2, and it'll go back to this other page. If I click on this link, it is linked back to page 1. So that's how you link hyperlinks to other pages on your document. So let me go ahead and set up a new page. I'm going to duplicate this page by selecting, creating duplicate spreads. And I'm going to move it up after page 3. And this time I want to place the newsletter on here. So I'm going to call this newsletter. And I'm going to get rid of this. And then I want to place my newsletter on here. So then I'm going to go I need to look for my newsletter. And let's just find a newsletter here that I can place. So I'm going to place this newsletter. And I just want to place the first page of this newsletter. So I'm going to show import options and just select page 1 and click OK. And then I want to make sure this is cropped where I want it to be. Then I'm going to place this onto this page and I want to shrink it down a little bit. And because this has black on the top, I don't want my background to be black in this case. So I'm going to switch back to typography, to my swatches. I'm going to change my background to white. And instead, I'm going to give this a black border. And I just want it to be a thin 0.5 point border. And now my text, I need to change that color to black. And then I want to add my text description and make that black too. Okay, then I'm going to switch back to interactive for PDF, and that allows me to view my hyperlinks panel. And I'm going to select this graphic frame and create a hyperlink now. I also can go back to page 1 and create a hyperlink for this newsletter tab. So I'm going to select hyperlinks and create a new hyperlink. And I want to link this to page 3, or it's actually page 4. So I'm going to link it to page 4 and click OK. Then I'm going to go to page 4. And then this text should be hyperlinked to page 1, which it is. And then I want to create another page where I can view this image larger. So then I'm going to duplicate this page. So duplicate spread. And I'm going to move this page after page 4. And this time I'm going to get rid of the text description on this page. I'm going to get rid of that. And I just want to make this as large as I can. And I'm going to center it. And then I can link this back to page, which page was that on? Back to page 4. So I'm going to select hyperlink, create a new hyperlink, link this back to page 4, click OK. So you can't see how that interactivity works yet. You can only test it once you export it to a PDF. So I'll show you how to do that too. So I've showed you how to add a hyperlink to a page. I want to show you how you could add page transitions too. So if I go to pages, I can add a page transition by going to page transitions. So you can see there's some different options here. You can change the speed of the transitions. You can also change transitions for each page. If I go to control right click, I can go to choose and select different page transitions for each page. So I'm going to go ahead and export this through page 5 just so you can see how the interactivity works. Okay, so we go back, show the guidelines so you can see that dash line means it's hyperlinked. So to export it now, I can go to File, Export, and make sure that you select Adobe PDF Interactive. And then it will include all the media. You can also select under compression a resolution. So I'm just going to select 144 here with the JPEG quality at maximum. Okay, then you can also select page transitions here. If you want all your pages to fade, you could select that from here as well when you export it. So I'm going to select pages and I'm going to go ahead and export this. And then it'll bring it up in Adobe Acrobat. So now if I click on letterhead, it takes me to page 2. If I click on this image, it takes me to page 3. Then I can go back to page 2 and I can go back to page 1. Then remember we added the hyperlink here to the newsletter. So if I click on the newsletter link, it takes me to page, I think it was page 4. If I click on this image, it should take me to page 5. There we go. So now I go to page 5 and then I can go back to the index page. So now we've got some interactivity going. We added hyperlinks to other pages in the portfolio. I want to show you how to add hyperlinks to emails, how to create bookmarks, how to hyperlink to an outside URL address. But I'm feeling like that might be too much to cover right now. Maybe this is enough for y'all to get started for the portfolio.